after this workshop, you'll have a good understanding of the toolkit, some of the features it provides to help support your research. And then I hope that if there's something that piques your interest, you'll come back and attend one of the future workshops to delve a little bit deeper into some of the features that I'll be talking about today at a high level. Before we get started, I'm sort of curious of, for those of you who are on, how many of you had heard about the PhenX Toolkit before you signed up for for the workshop? You can, I'm not sure that I'll be able to see you, but maybe you could just raise your Zoom hand to indicate. Oh, I can see, I pulled up something. I see one hand. Okay. Good. Well, thank you. Well, so we've got a couple. Looks like a couple of people here that that know a little bit about the toolkit, and then some new folks. So hopefully we'll give you a good introduction today. So to start off, PhenX stands for Consensus Measures for Phenotypes and Exposures. Originally envisioned to support genome-wide association studies, the scope has really expanded to include study designs, including epidemiological, clinical, and translational. PhenX has a goal to provide the scientific community with a common currency for collecting data from human participants. The project is really driven by the scientific community. The steering committee provides overall guidance, helping us to consider how best to meet the needs of the project. And then we form a couple different groups of experts to work with us on the content in the toolkit. The first is working groups. They're assembled to add new protocols to the toolkit. Their working groups are typically 6 to 8 people in the field, that particular field, and they come from government and academia. We really seek diversity of experience and background in selecting working group members. Starting with a scope defined by our steering committee, we use a consensus process during which work group members recommend appropriate data collection protocols using the established criteria that the steering committee put forth, which I'll talk about in a bit more detail shortly. And then with input during a community outreach period with the scientific community, the work group makes final recommendations for protocols to add to the toolkit. Now, as opposed to adding new content, we form smaller groups called content expert panels to update content that's already in the toolkit. The content expert panels look at protocols in a particular domain or collection in the toolkit to determine if the protocol is still useful and relevant. And then they recommend either updating a protocol, replacing it, or retiring a protocol. This helps ensure that the toolkit remains scientifically relevant for the research community. We have liaisons from the NIH institutes and centers. We learn from them what's going on at NIH, and they learn from us what's going on at PhenX. And we have been funded by the National Human Genome Research Institute since 2007. So with the evolution of PhenX from GWAS to clinical, translational, and epidemiological research, so too has the funding evolved. This is a list of the current and or prior funding that we've received from NIH institutes and programs. Multiple NIH institutes have supported development of focused collections of protocols, which add depth to the toolkit. So now I'll talk a little bit about why it's important to use standard measurement protocols. First, I'll talk about the scientific rationale for doing so. By using standard data collection protocols like what you find in the toolkit, it allows for easy comparison of study data, which is particularly important when study findings require validation. Using the same protocols makes it very easy to combine study data, where increased sample size improves greater statistical power, provides greater statistical power. It also helps to avoid the need to harmonize data, since the data collected the same way is instantly comparable. And cross-study analyses increase the impact of individual studies. By using the PhenX Toolkit, researchers can also be responsive to funding opportunity announcements that mention the use of PhenX protocols. So from the NIH perspective, PhenX allows investigators to adhere to the FAIR principles. That is, that data are findable, accessible, interoperable, and reusable. And with the increased emphasis at NIH on reproducible results and the expectations for data sharing, standard measurement protocols are sort of hard to avoid. You may be familiar with the NIH data management and sharing policy, which became effective January 25th of 2003. This requirement from NIH means that researchers have to prospectively plan for how scientific data will be preserved and shared through submission of a data management and data sharing plan. So for studies subject to the 2023 data management and sharing policy, the RPPR, which you may be familiar with, or the Research Performance Progress Report that's required for NIH, those were recently updated to include questions about data management and sharing. So using protocols from the PhenX Toolkit can help you be responsive to those reporting requirements. I like to show this slide to make it really clear what PhenX is and what it isn't. PhenX is a catalog of recommended measurement protocols. I talked about how they're recommended by experts in the field. It's a toolkit developed by the scientific community via consensus-based process, and it's a web-based resource that's freely available for use. So it is not a new set of methods. In fact, you'll see in a second that we really rely on protocols that are already in use. There's not a new ontology of phenotypes and exposures. There's no data stored in the PhenX Toolkit. It's really just protocols for use for you to collect your own data. It's not restrictive. That is, investigators can use protocols from the toolkit or decide to use their own protocols. And it's not proprietary, so there's no cost to use the toolkit. This slide shows the criteria that our expert working groups and content expert panels use to identify protocols for the toolkit. I mentioned this first point that and this is really important, that a standard protocol must already exist. So we don't develop new ways of asking questions. We rely on what's already in the field. Protocols must be clearly defined and already well established, typically by use in a major reference study or a consortium. As such, they must be broadly validated, which allows them to be used reliably and with reproducible results. Being low burden, both to the study participants and to the investigators, is an important component for the PhenX Toolkit. We really are looking for protocols that are easy to integrate into your data collection. When possible, we look for protocols that can be used across different groups of people. And we have a preference for open access and non-proprietary protocols so that there are no restrictions on their use. Prior use in omics research may be a consideration for some of the research areas. So I think this is important to sort of lay out. Using the consensus process and these criteria for selections means that you may not find your favorite protocol in the toolkit. So it's not meant to be everything that's available to collect data. It's really meant to be sort of a honed in high priority collection of protocols for use. So I wanted to just go through the definitions for some of the terminology that PhenX uses. Domains are really a field of research or topic with a unifying theme. They may be a research area, disease, or condition. Domains add breadth to the toolkit. They sort of broadly cover a research area. Examples include demographics, anthropometrics, environmental exposures. Collections, on the other hand, are more of a deep dive into a particular research area. Protocols and collections have a shared characteristics or a target population and may cut across research domains. Examples include social determinants of health and mental health research. And that mental health research collection includes suicide and eating disorders, among other topics. A measure is a certain characteristic of or related to a study subject, while the protocol is actually that very specific way that the data is collected. And this may be through a series of questions on a form, like a survey or a case report form, or as an assessment like blood pressure or standing height. So I'm going to give sort of a high level overview now of different ways to find protocols in the toolkit. If you'd like to go into this in a bit more detail, come to our December workshop to learn how to go into more detail about how to effectively search the toolkit to find the protocols that you want for your research. So across the top here, you see that you can search by simply typing into the search bar at the top. Alternatively, you can access specific research domains on the right-hand side, or specialty collections across the bottom here. You'll see also quick access to investigator guidance and the citation to use to cite a specific PhenX protocol or the toolkit more generally. And then there are more navigation tabs across the top. So while you can browse by domains or collections, if you want to really look across the entire toolkit, using the search feature is the way to go. And I'll give some examples of that shortly. But first, we will look at the domains here. So by clicking on that domain button on the home page, I get to this list of the 30 research domains that are currently in the toolkit, along with the 6 collections that are here in the lower right corner. You can see there's a wide range of research domains covered here that you might use for any type of research, like demographics or anthropometrics, as well as domains that may not be your particular research focus. So by clicking on any one of these, you drill down to see the available protocols in that domain. So I'm showing the protocols that are in the demographics domain. So you see here, there's a count here at the top, 16 protocols. Each domain has approximately 15 protocols, and this is really by design. The small number per domain was intentional, which allows a focus on those high priority protocols rather than trying to include everything that could be covered in a particular domain, which would be just too great of a task. So this is just a taste of the types of the protocols that are in the demographics domain as an example. So those are the domains. And then now across the bottom, I mentioned the specialty collections. I wanted to call out in particular the social determinants of health collection, since this is an area of that's so important across all research these days. And also because the core collection that's part of the social determinants of health here is recommended by the PhenX Steering Committee for use in all study designs. We also have a COVID-19 specialty collection that will be the topic of a future workshop. So now that you have a taste of the research areas in the toolkit, I'm going to show you a protocol and the resources available for it. So I'm going to now hop over to a live demonstration here, and I'm going to share my screen. Okay, let me just make this a little bit bigger. Okay, so I'm just going to do a little search here of the toolkit for weight. And you see that my results, I got 56 results here. That's a lot to sort of go through. So I want to point out the filters along the left-hand side that allow you to refine your results a little bit. You can refine by major studies using PhenX protocols. You have data collection mode, life stage. Just for this example, I'm going to click the button for the National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey, or NHANES. It tells me there are 10 results. So now I see the 10 items here. I have some options, and I think what I'm going to do is go with self-reported weight. So when I click on that, that takes me to, this is what we call the protocol page. Noted here, protocol. So this is all the details about this particular protocol on self-reported weight. There is a description of the protocol. There are specific instructions, and actually this is particularly interesting because the working group that identified this protocol recommends the assessment of weight using a measured protocol, but sometimes that's just not possible. So self-reported weight is an option in those cases. If you scroll down, you get to the actual protocol with the question and answer choices. In this case, you'd record the number and the number of pounds or kilograms for that person. So that's the protocol, but you see there's a lot more information here as well. From the I'm not going to go into all of these, but just give you sort of a highlight. The administration tab includes information about personnel and training requirements and mode of administration. In details, you get information about the available languages and the reason the protocol was selected. Under the source, you get the source of the protocol as well as general references. And then if they're under variables, information about the variables, including any dB-gap mapping. And if there are publications, they're not in this case, but if there are any publications around this particular protocol, those would be noted here. So there's a lot of detail here. And then on the left-hand side, you see related protocols, things that also have to do with weight that might be of interest. You get essential protocols that are needed to interpret the resulting data from this question. And then you can see the studies that are using this particular protocol. So our January workshop, should you want to attend that, we'll go into some of the tools available for each PhenX protocol to allow you to effectively use the protocol in your study. So within the same screen, you can access tools to help integrate the protocol and support your data collection and data management. You see here, there are some things that you can download. I'm going to show you the DCW, which is the data collection worksheet, and the DD, which stands for the data dictionary. And I'm just going to pull up the data collection worksheet here. Which is a Microsoft Word document and allows you to integrate a protocol into your data collection instrument. It provides both the question and the answer choices. So you can just copy and paste this into your data collection form. And let's see, let me hop over to the data dictionary. And at the top here, this is a RTF format, but I've opened it in Microsoft Word. There are the citations are here for you to copy and paste. You can cite use of the PhenX Toolkit, the general reference here. And you can also, if you use this particular protocol, there's a citation giving you the actual toolkit version from which you pulled the protocol. So the data dictionary is a good tool for developing your data management system. It's compatible with the dbGaP, or the database of genotypes and phenotypes, that data repository, and for REDCap data collection. And if you come to our February workshop, you can learn more about these and other PhenX tools to help you integrate protocols into your study and support your data management and sharing. So if I go back to the website, I'll just navigate through some of these tabs at the top. Under resources in the toolkit, we can access the publications and presentations so that you can see what publications have cited the use of the PhenX Toolkit. And then publications citing PhenX protocols actually shows you studies that have used specific PhenX protocols in their research. The next item here is under news, where you can access the latest PhenX newsletter. There are toolkit use statistics that show the top 10 protocols and domains in the most recent quarter. And then there are the funding opportunity announcements that have actually mentioned PhenX in them. So these are all active links to the actual funding opportunity announcement. And I'm going to drill down a little bit into this particular one, interventions to reduce sleep health disparities. It's an R01. So if you click on this item here, it will take you to the FOA. Let me make this a little bit bigger here. At the top, obviously, you see the institutes that are participating in this. And then if you do a quick search, you can see here that PhenX, I'm trying to make this a little bit bigger. Studies should incorporate measures from the core and specialty collections that are available in the social determinants of health collection of the PhenX Toolkit. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention so that you can see that how PhenX is mentioned in NIH funding opportunity announcements. So under going further down the list here, we have a link to some YouTube tutorials, FAQs. There's a glossary of PhenX terms and acronyms, and we are also on X, and you can get to our YouTube channel from this page. Now, if I go to the PhenX interoperability, so this is for those of you with a bioinformatics bent, this is for you. PhenX has collaborated and integrated with many established resources and standards to help promote data sharing and cross-study analysis. PhenX is in the NIH CDE repository and NCI CDE browser. There are LOINC codes created for the first 21 domains in the toolkit. PhenX has mapped a subset of its protocols to dbGaP and established links to thousands of dbGaP variables from hundreds of studies. PhenX protocols are available in REDCap data dictionary format and are mapped to the human phenotype ontology. We're currently assessing the feasibility of implementing PhenX protocols as HL7 or Health Level 7 International FHIR compatible questionnaires annotated with biomedical standards. The long-term goal is to help PhenX users integrate epidemiological and clinical data, potentially through computational workflows for more effective translational research. So I'm going to switch back to my slides here as I wrap up. I'd like to acknowledge the NIH leadership for the project, including Jyoti Dayal of NHGRI, as well as the leadership from NIH, who's provided PhenX supplemental funding, as well as our steering committee and the hundreds of experts we've worked with over the years. I also want to acknowledge the large team from RTI that brings a wide range of expertise to support the PhenX project. I do want to encourage you to register for upcoming workshops. We're going to be doing one a month now through at least April. And you can register on our homepage. You'll find this on the carousel, and you just click the Register Now button. So this will be updated with the next workshop, so you can register. I also want to mention that we have an opportunity to provide input on the toolkit here. This is on a little banner that scrolls across the top of our homepage. We'd really like to hear from people that may have used the toolkit before, or people who are new to the toolkit. We're trying to get information about how people use the toolkit so that we can better understand ways that we might make improvements to make it to improve the experience for the user. So if you go here and click on this link, you'll receive an email with a link to a couple of modules that will guide you through an exploration of the toolkit, and then ask you a series of questions to find out about your experience.